So, good to see you guys. Hope you've had a good day today. As we are all aware, it's the also famous NFP Friday. We've got a lot of stuff coming out. We've got the full non-farm batch. We also have the IV PMIs for Canada this afternoon at 3 p.m. Won't be around for that one in particular. But we do have about 25 minutes to go before the NFP. So we are actually looking at increased NFP numbers this time around. The forecast at the moment is showing 160k over a 114k previous figure. Unemployment rate actually decreasing to 4.2 from 4.3 as well. For the US there, we also have the average hourly earnings for the US as well. We also have the Canada's unemployment rate, here as well. So the USD CAD probably going to be a decent contender in the Forex space to be having a look at for some live trading this afternoon. Based on the previous data that we've seen from the US, it has been arguably softer than expected across the board. I know a lot of you guys, if you're catching up on this one and you are not a paid UTC member, then you won't obviously have been present in the previous sessions that we've been doing on a daily basis to know that the US at the moment is in a bit of a state of worry and caution. We also have the presidential elections happening at the moment, so there's a lot of carnage there. But we've also seen softening data across the board for the US, and there are a lot of fears now about a major US recession. So, and obviously the fears of just how deep that will run. So, if we have a bullish NFP number today, it's going to go a long way. It really will. I think the market's reaction today of all NFP days, where we've seen arguably not too much of a reaction at all, the data is going to shove the market up the rear end. So I think if we do get a decent bit of very hawkish print, 160 or even above 160, then it's going to really be quite good for things like the stock market, for example. I think is probably going to have a pretty decent reaction. Even generally, historically, if you had very strong employment data, that means more people earning money, which means more people spending money, which then goes to the inflation problem. But in this economy that we're seeing at the moment, I think it would actually be quite pro stocks to get a bullish print because of the state of the economy at the moment with the softer data that we've seen, the adverse reaction the stocks have had as a result of that. I think a good bullish number today of 160 plus is going to be quite decent for the stocks. If we're hitting 180 to 220, I really do think we're going to see some whopping moves in the US 30 Dow Jones, in particular S&P 500. US tech stocks will always move, significantly with the others, but really the predominant ones that are going to be targeted today are going to be the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, given the nature of the equities that are inside those index funds. So it will be interesting to see what goes on. That's a little bit of a scope of the data anyway this afternoon. Looking at where the markets are at the moment, yesterday, again, for those who have not seen the previous streams and stuff, on a daily basis, we're always updating our order books. We're looking at asset allocation, providing all the positions and stuff for our fund from a community sense perspective. All of these flags down here, you will see, are all trade ideas that we've got running or have come to an end. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a messy day. It was absolutely incredible yesterday in the stocks, apart from that last one. But actually, we did a number of trades in the NAS 100 yesterday. We got a fantastic return, 2-3 wins in the NAS 100. Unfortunately, I did end up trying to go for one more and got a bit greedy, I suppose you would say. I didn't think it was being greedy. I just thought it was a decent break of structure trade for another long from liquidity. It did actually have a pretty good run, as you can see as well. Went straight up to around 19, but it did unfortunately come back down and stop us out. We're now actually looking at a break, close and retest of liquidity down here as we speak. So it does look like we may continue lower. So the path of least resistance at the moment, which is always obviously the point of interest that we're looking for, the path in which price is most easily able to travel, is down. Okay, so we are looking bearish at the stocks at the moment. I think the Dow Jones arguably won't be too far behind. Let's just have a quick scan over. So yeah, so the Dow Jones pretty much in the same boat. It is trading above a point of liquidity here at the moment, as you guys can see. But at the same time, you know, it is still looking very bearish. It's definitely still in a bit of a bearish motion here. So if we're trading long today, we are going to have to, like, you know, find those key areas. I mean, the NAS 100 is pretty simple, right? If we get a breaker structure above here, we're long. Do we think a spike is possible right the way back up to 19070? I think it could be. I really do. If the bullish print in the data comes out and it's correct, you know, 160k plus, I do indeed think we could probably get a decent trade off in the NAS 100. I'm thinking personally a trade idea around here. So a breaker structure entry point, target profit's going to be around there at 19070. And we're looking at a 50% point stop loss at about there for a 1 to 3 return. Now this is brilliant, really, really nice. If we can just clear through this area of liquidity here and jump in above, I think we've got a really good chance of hitting this and hitting it quite quickly. Looking at previous NFP moves, you know, they probably haven't carried as much importance, perhaps. You know, I just think I think it's good. So it is going to be a pending order, guys. This is going to be a trade based on 0.2% risk. Okay, this is big day, big NFP day. So 0.2% risk on the position. It does seem like, you know, the wise move here. I will leave the risk, obviously. You know, you guys are you guys control your own risk management, but that is my advice here. So that's going to be a 0.2 trade. We'll just put in there 0.2 on that one. So that's that. If we're looking at a short, I mean, frankly, I need to anchor that. I should have anchored text. Can I anchor it somewhere in here? That's the wrong kind of text. That's okay. So, I mean, if we're looking for a breaker structure short, it's a breaker structure below the low. Unfortunately, if we draw in the zone here and drag that back in time, it's a fair cash rich area, fairly, not huge. But I think the TP for that one is probably going to take us down to here. So let's just have a look at that. So yeah, maybe just in there. So possibly looking at this for the short TP. Now that is nowhere near the size of the long, unfortunately. So it's not great. But breaker structure entry is going to be here. It's going to be a decent risk reward still, so you don't really need to worry about that too much. It's not going to be the long, but that's the short right there. You're going to have your TP, nice margin above, so you're looking at maybe a 1 to 1.95, you know, for example, maybe a 1 to 2 if you squeeze it in there. So that can also be based on a pending order. So these two pending orders here, we've got a fairly significant no man's land. Okay, so the area in here is all NML, non-trading space. So long above, short below. We can kind of let that one go now. We've got about 15 minutes to go for the NFP itself. If I'm just thinking about this in real time here, I think possibly leave the pending order date. Yeah, possibly leave the order for the short out, just because of where this is at the moment. The long, you have that in the market. That remains in the market. This one, okay, we're going to put an alert in instead, and then we can look at that, because I don't want to have a pending order in prior to the event in case we get ticked in and it triggers prior to the actual NFP coming through. Right. We'll have a quick look at the US 30 Dow Jones. To be fair, we're going to be looking at the short breaker structure below this point. Looking back in time here at the moment, we've probably got some money down at around this area, at around 40, 43. Drag that one back in time here. We can see the confirmation of that zone. So we've got the high inflection point, we've got the low inflection point. So nice bit of imbalance here. I mean, that's a tiny, tiny little margin to trade, guys. I'm much preferring the NAS 100, to be honest, where it's trading at the moment. Because let's face it, right? If we're going to take a long and upon a breaker structure in the US 30 Dow Jones, we have to wait for a breaker structure here. And frankly, that's that area, right? So we're not going to be able to take a long comfortably upon the NFP event itself, where this is trading at the moment, because there's way too much money in the market and around these areas. Right, so if we just start completely fresh chart, we're still going to run into the same problem. We've got this area in here, we've got this area down here, right? That's not a bad trading margin, but where it's trading at the moment is too far into the move. We want to be coming down into liquidity and then pushing up, right? So we want to come down, push into this space, then push up, and then we can get that breaker structure down here, which would be an entry of around 40.60 rather than 40.68, right in the middle. And that's problematic for us. Now what we could do, hypothetically, is actually look at the breaker structure here instead for the long, and this would be almost a delayed entry. So we wouldn't be messing around with anything down here, but we do have a solid trading opportunity above, like this. Right, so that's not a bad trade, in between that space there. That's not too bad at all. If we're short, then it would be good to get a short from up there, frankly. If we are looking at short upon a breaker structure below this area in here, again, the US 30 Dow Jones not looking great for that at the moment. Look at the trading margins here, okay? Liquidity is there. Okay, that's at 40.41. Well, the breaker structure is going to be at 40.48. So it's a very, very, very tight little margin to trade in there as well. Now, if we can kind of, I guess, let's just draw a zone in there so we're not sort of wandering. So that's this area in here. That's even worse. Look at that. That's basically where we are at the moment, to be honest. So if we get a breaker structure below there, we have a void down to this area in here. That doesn't need to be so wide. So we can trade down to this area in here. That's a really decent margin. And so we could look at a trade idea somewhere down here. But where it's trading at the moment, like I said, this is a bit problematic for us. So we could look at a breaker structure about there. And then we would be looking at the short under. Target profit's going to be at around maybe 40.15. Stop loss up there at approximately 40.44. So maybe a 1 to 2.21 there. So there's a number of trading opportunities we can have. The only two pending orders that we are allowed to have today for the NFP event itself, and they should be removed, remember, after the NFP event's taken place. We need to plug in this as a one pending order at 488.80. And we also need to plug in this at 40.35. Now, guys, to be fair, ignore the numbers. If your chart doesn't match them, then you're going to be plugging your numbers in completely wrong. But look at the zones. Look at where the zones are, and do it. Eyeball it. Shouldn't be too difficult. Right. So, in terms of the FX space, unfortunately, team, USD CAD has hit its stop loss. Now, it's a real shame, this one, to be honest, because we were in this a long time. It was, as you can see, a stone's throw away from our target profit. Jolt's job openings absolutely crushed it. It ranged for a while and then ended up coming down to hit stop loss overnight. So, yeah, it was about 3:45 in the morning. It was an absolute ball buster, this one, team. It really was. Bearing in mind, we also had the scaled in position, which was taken maybe here. So we were really nicely in the money there. And it just came so damn close to target profit before getting crushed. It was, yeah, real shame. But today is a new day, and we have the NFP volumes, hopefully the NFP gods on our side for a decent move. So we've got to think here about pronum, and that we've got to think about sort of hawkish numbers and dovish numbers, right? If we look at a 160 plus print, the USD is going to be flying. We're going to see a 60 pip move in the USD CAD, I'm pretty damn sure. Looking at the major inflection points, well, right there, that's definitely a major inflection point. That's the one we've got to work with. Looking at the next major inflection point, that's at the beginning of the price action pullback down here. Unfortunately for us, at the moment, we're kind of trading right in the middle of the dead space. What we can do, however, is we can lock and load some breaker structure points for the longs and the shorts. So, for example, this area in here, nice spot of liquidity. So what I'm going to be doing is looking at pending order, trigger that one at there, target profit up at the top there, 135.61, and the stop loss is going to be down here at around 134.93, let's say, for a 1 to 2.3. So that's the first trade idea. The second trade idea for the short, the breaker structure point, is going to be approximately here. So then that's the wide zone, but don't worry, we'll iron this out. So the breaker structure point for this one is going to be about there, right? So that's the bear breaker structure. And so then our short pending order is going to be below here. We're going to be looking at the target profit there at around 134.47, and we're going to look at the stop loss being just above there, a little margin above this breaker structure point for a 1 to 2.1. Now we currently have 9 minutes to go, so we've got an FX asset plugged in, we've got the stocks. Let's go up and have a look at the commodities markets, look at gold. So gold at the moment for the NFP, unfortunately gold continues to miss the cash rich area up here, which is a real bloody shame, because this is my sell side area. I don't really like, messing around with gold anywhere else apart from when it comes up to this area here to load up with the institutional money, which we can all see evidence of the whole way through this range. However, beggars cannot be choosers. Now, the breaker structure point for gold is pretty easy, this one actually. I'm not going to be looking at taking the entire thing from today's NFP. I'm going to be a little bit, impatient with it, I guess you could say, unoptimistic maybe. But the breaker structure point I'll be aiming for is here. I'll be aiming for this one and not that one because there's a decent margin between A and B points down at 25.04. So there will be some money in the pocket before we hit that TRF down there. Now, this trade idea is, like I said, it's going to be relatively short term. So I'm actually going to look at a pending short. I'm going to put the short into the market around 25.1088. Target profit is going to sit right there. And my stop loss is going to be all the way down at around 25.15.1. So that's going to yield a 1 to 2.5 return as well there. Really, really nice, healthy return. This area in here is being utilized, not because of this messy old zone here, but actually because of the breakout point that we had in there. So that's the margin, that's the trade that I'm looking at. We got a TRF that we're aware of here. That's a decent margin down. It will already be above a 1 to 1 by the time we reach that one. Target profit with that a little bit low. So 1 to 2.53 for that short pending in gold. Unfortunately, team, obviously, as you can tell, a lot of these are on the basis of a bullish, hawkish print in the data. The long for gold, which would be in the case of there being a bad piece of data this afternoon for the dollar, and so gold would get flushed with cash as a result, is not available. We don't really have access points to a long in gold at the moment. We have the long in here, kind of, maybe, that we could have utilized, but frankly, gold's already trading at 25.15 anyway. It's not something I'm hugely interested in. And I don't want to be taking a long above here because we have institutional selling coming into play constantly. And so a long in gold at this stage is really not on the books. It's just not acceptable. So I am just going to leave the short there if the short, if the short triggers from volatility strike, then whatever. But every single trade provided today, we are looking at 0.2s across the board. Okay, we're not looking at 0.25s at all for anything. So we've got gold, and we've got gold short, and we've got USD CAD, both sides of the market at the moment. These are quite large moves, I would say, but definitely doable with an NFP piece of volatility. And then, of course, we have our NAS 100, both sides of the market here as well, waiting to see which way that goes. Again, most of these moves, these are 15-minute moves here. We've got 5 minutes to go now until the event, basically. These are going to be quite significant moves because of where the market's trading currently. And this is the score for a lot that we've been looking at. Because before we get to our pending order, the market already has to rise 0.67% in this case. So it already has to jump 125 pips before we get our entry, and then it moves to 1.63% up today. That's 306 pips in the session. So we do have to take this into consideration. Okay, it's a bit unfortunate because of where we're trading, because at the moment we're trading on all these kind of middle areas, these middle grounds, but it's just the way of the land today that we kind of got to deal with. So, hey, Bootsy, sound is shite. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Michael. How's the sound for everyone else? Is it not good? Is there something wrong with it? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I wonder what's going on. Hang on a minute. It hasn't been shite previously, has it? What does it sound like? Does it sound crackly or something? Sounding like an explosion in a mattress factory. That's a really amazing way to articulate the sound. I'm sorry to hear that, guys. Well, same old everything. Same mic, same everything. I don't know what to say. Maybe I should try disconnecting and then coming back or something. You heard me just fine. Okay. All right. Yeah, strange. I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. I don't really know what to say. Nothing's changed. Same old mic, same everything. Maybe it's just connection or something. I don't know. The connection's been really solid today, actually. Remaining 30 ms, so that should be okay as well. All good. All good. Okay, well, yeah, we've got about 3 minutes to go before the event. We should all be locked and loaded by now. Everything should be plugged in, ready to rock and roll. So, let's see where we are. The Squawk should pick up the news instantaneously as well, so we'll probably get a blast of feed notifications coming through from the server. Let's see where we go. Okay, got a minute 46 to go. Hopefully it's going to be an actual impactful event. I tell you, I don't think I could deal with something that's going to be a complete anti-climax again. Hopefully we'll get some volatility this afternoon. All right, got about a minute to go. Yeah, it is good to have you here, Boosie. It is. It is good to have you here. I want to know who the mysterious A is. We have an A in the audience. Good afternoon, A, whoever you are. Whenever I hover my mouse over your name, it's not showing me like the others. Nah. Oh yeah. I mean, it could be. It could be Andy. But he's doing his own show, right? I mean, that would be pretty bad business. Give up your own show to go and look at what I'm doing. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I wonder what trade ideas he's got going on. If he's anything like he used to be, probably nothing. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Ooh, it's a miss. It is a miss, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 142k print. So, yeah, bit of a. It's an uptick. It's certainly an uptick from the previous figure, but it is a big miss from the forecast. So, that's going to be interesting to see where that one goes. Unemployment rate for the Canadian dollar as well has actually gone up by 0.1%. So, pretty bearish data there for the CAD. And we've got the unemployment rate for the US at 4.2, which is bang on the forecast expectations, a 0.1% decline from the 4.3% previous figure. So let's have a look at what's going on. Yeah, it's sort of mediocre spike in the NAS 100, to be honest. Didn't really expect too much more than that. It's not. It's a miss in the forecast, so it's a miss from the market sentiment, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a beat on the previous figure. So it's honestly, guys, I hate to say this, but it is actually anticlimax print. That is what it is. It does not promote extreme bullish or bearish price action. I imagine gold spiked up. Yeah, exactly. So that's come down as it usually does. It triggered the bloody thing and then rallied. That's fine. Nothing to be done about that one. USD CAD, what are we saying here? So we're in, that's going. Maybe claw back some of the losses from gold if we actually get going down. It's not much of a spike though at the moment. Need to let the markets digest the data. It does look good though. It looks all right. The NAS 100 pretty much dead in the water at the moment. US 30 Dow Jones should have had a bigger spike from, yeah, exactly. Much bigger spike in the industrial index here because obviously it's more of an impact with employment data. At the moment, hasn't actually achieved anything though. You know, from that, it's not really gone anywhere. We just had a spike up and a back down again. Good placement, I would say, on review of where our entries and stuff were for the trades. It means we're not getting whipsawed out of any of the sort of a volatility strike from the news data, which is pretty good. But unfortunately, at the same time, we're not really seeing much of anything. No action whatsoever. So, gold, you absolute asshole, has gone up to the institutional sell side space. I must say, I mean, it kind of really makes me want to go short gold now, just being up here at the moment. But well, that's for another time. I'm not going to be taking shorts in gold, obviously, at this stage because we've got a lot of buying sentiment in the market. So, going to let that sit, let the interest die out for the longs, and then possibly look at a break of structure entry for the short. What I'm hoping is gold actually closes above this area, dwindles for a little bit, comes back down, breaks structure, and then I'm in for a short that I had when you originally saw my gold chart, which was something like this. So that I can take that nice long-term range continuation trade and get some scaled in positions on the way down, which would be pretty decent. Maybe look for maybe a 1.5 or 2% return out of the 2 or 3 that we would get involved on that, which would be pretty tasty. Pretty spicy, but unfortunately, yeah, as we can see here, it's not exactly doing much, is it? No. Jesus, that one's back up there, bloody break even. Great, that's awesome. That's awesome. What a complete waste of an event this afternoon. What's the DXY saying? Not much of anything. Some rank 15-minute candle. Wick on both sides. Liquidity here. So would expect probably a bit of a further push down, to be honest. Maybe it has just hit the top of it, but yeah, I think not good enough for me. Not good enough for me. Nada. Nada. Okay, well, what now? I tell you, man, these things, these NFP things, are just like, oh. There'll be a daily pin bar. Yep, you're not wrong about that. My God. God help me forever hearing that again. Yep, there's a daily pin bar. There's something we'll be able to take in a few days' time. But team, honestly, what do we do? I mean, it's just a waiting game at the moment, isn't it? And whilst we wait, what do I talk about? Like I said in the description at the beginning of this session, a lot of moaning involved. That's me, all right. Gold, you need to close above there so I can short you. What about the rest of these things going on at the moment? I love the Australian dollar at the moment, man. The Australian dollar in the CAD, they're really good currencies to trade. Oh, well, that's bloody fantastic. That's just great. Thank you very much. A win in Aussie yen and a loss in Aussie yen. Thank you very much. Aussie NZD still yet to trigger. That's rank. Nothing we can do with you. My God. Yeah, no, nothing we can do with you. That's been removed from the market anyway. That's an old pending. Euro Oz. We got one long win yesterday. That actually wouldn't have been a bad short up. Yeah, no real break of structure though until this point, is there? So that would have been difficult. So no, nothing there. Euro yen. NZD. Oh, you absolute prick. Oh, God, look at you. That's great. That's great. Thank you. That's already been done. Pound against the CAD. Nada. Yeah, it's just kind of shaking things up. I tell you what, it would be good for our pound, our cable long though. That is one good thing, isn't it? Yeah, cable long. It's good for that one. Hopefully it sustains. NZD CAD is almost triggering. I'm a little bit wary of that though. Coming to the top of this, I feel like there'll be a lot of contraction. In fact, guys, yeah, give me 2 secs. If you guys have got the pending in for NZD CAD, remove it. Yeah, remove that. It's a nice break of structure, certainly, but the problem is we'll get the market corrective and that'll come back to stop us out instantly. So we don't want to be involved in much of any of this, to be honest. There's nothing. Same old NFP, man. Same old NFP. It really is. It's such a disappointment. So much of the time. I guess some semi decent kind of scalping territory stuff, but yeah, apart from that, not much else is there. Especially not from a print of bloody, what was it, 140 what? 142. I mean 142, what a bloody annoying number. It's not bad enough to create any major moves. It's not big enough to create any major moves. It's just right bang in the middle, isn't it? Right bang in the middle of 89, 160, 142. Oh well. What are you guys thinking then? I mean, at this stage, not too much more to talk about. Don't want to go wasting time. It's a Friday, so there's not going to be a host of order book updates to do. I'm not going to be obviously providing the, crap boatload of trades that usually would happen from a Monday to Thursday. So I haven't really got a huge much more to talk about, guys. It's a non-impact event. That's what it is. Yeah, yeah, we certainly might get some in the US. Yeah, yeah, the day's not over. Yeah, I'm not saying that by any stretch. The day's not over, but in terms of the US markets, I mean the trade ideas here still stand. This is what I'd be looking at anyway. So ideally, breakouts, jump in. Target profits are pretty straightforwards. Breaker structures are straightforwards. Just stick with that. I mean, the only thing I possibly would add for this afternoon's US session is a short, and I might actually look at a short between these two margins here, because that's not a bad little, not a bad little trade there either for a 1 to 2.33. So I could look at something like that. Not now, by the way. This is only after the bell rings at 2:30. So yeah. I think that's about it, guys. There's nothing more to say. I'm not going to sit on. I'm not going to sit on there and just bloody chinwag for ages. There's just, frankly, there's not much point. Yeah, it's just not much point. It's just non-impact event. What are you going to do? Hey, what are you going to do? That's the markets for you. So I guess I'll bring things to a close there. The same trades that we were looking at for the NFP are going to be the trades for this afternoon's US session breakout. So we'll go from there, see what comes back. In terms of what we've got running, obviously gold's a knockout. We've got USC running. Doesn't look good though, to be honest. I don't think. It doesn't look like it's bloody doing anything really, does it? So we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Just complete washout, folks. 142k, right bang in the middle of 89. Previous and the 160 forecasted. So yeah, relatively neutral data, and the market's reaction is pretty much completely in response, completely right in its response to it. So I'll love you and leave you all there. So I hope you have a good afternoon, guys. Take care of yourselves out there. Trade safe. Look forward to next week. Yesterday was a bit crap. US markets were really good, but a lot of real flip-flopping market reactions, especially after the Wednesday that we had, just as we expected in the morning, to be honest, when we were talking about it. And hopefully next week we can continue the momentum of last week and not this week. So guys, have a good one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.